Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Arcanine card. It's coming out in Unbroken Bonds, and our translation today comes from the lovely David Hochmann over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. Now, look, it's an Arcanine card, right? So you know it's going to do lots of damage, and you know it's going to discard a bunch of fire energy and blah, blah, blah. But ladies and gentlemen, this Arcanine's got something a little bit different going on. This Arcanine can accelerate energy. And that makes me a little bit excited. So if we start off having a look at the basics here, 140 HP for a stage 1 is frankly high. That is higher than a bunch of stage 2s like the Gengar we looked at the other day from this same set. That's a hefty amount of HP. It's got a retreat cost of 4, which opens up the possibility of using buff padding to get yourself an extra 50 HP. So now all of a sudden you got 190, and that's looking pretty gosh darn amazing. Weakness to water is honestly fine. My one worry here is the Articuno from Team Up. It's a really good starting Pokemon in water decks and does hit for exactly 70. So with no buff padding, they will get a one-hit KO on you, which is a little bit sad. But other than that, I don't think you need to worry. And it's a good time to be a fire Pokemon. We've had Heat Factory Prism Star for a little while that allows you to discard an energy from your hand and draw 3 cards. We've got Flareon that can accelerate energy to you. We've got Reshiram GX that can accelerate energy to you, and in its very same set we are getting Welder, link in the description, which allows you to attach 2 fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and then draw 3 cards. It's a great new supporter. So frankly, even though Arcanine's attacks are going to be expensive, 1, that's inevitable, 2, you can see the card on the screen, you know the attacks are expensive, honestly, it doesn't really matter. And as a side note, I'm trying to point out great artwork more lately. This has phenomenal artwork. Not happy with a big fire Pokemon so close to a body of water, but how beautiful is the artwork on this card? Good work, Pokemon artists. Good work. So what does it do? Well, the first attack is my favourite one here. 3 fire energy, 120 damage. Attach 2 fire energy from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. Yeah. This is energy acceleration while doing 120 damage. Now, we have actually seen that before. It's Silvally. And to be fair, Silvally does have a fire memory, so you can actually rock and roll with Silvally, doing 120 damage and accelerating energy. It's not exactly the same, you see. Silvally only attaches 1 basic energy, whereas Arcanine attaches 2. But then again, Arcanine only attaches fire energy, whereas Silvally will attach whatever energy you like. The other huge advantage of Silvally, you do get to use triple acceleration energy, which counts as free energy when attached to an evolved Pokemon and only lasts for 1 turn. But then again, like I've said, we've got options for Arcanine here, so I don't think we should worry about it too much. So, it's kind of like a non-EX Silvally. Now, in terms of the weakness here, we're laughing, because you're hitting 2 really good weaknesses. So, Celebi and Venusaur, and Lucario and Melmetal, and Buzzwole and Pheromosa are all Tag Team GXs that have seen success over in Japan at least. They are good. Now, to be fair, you won't actually get a one-hit KO on any of them initially, but if you add a choice band, then you're hitting 300, and you'll get a one-hit KO on any of them for free prizes with a non-GX Pokemon while accelerating 2 energy to the bench. Yeah, that seems pretty gosh darn good to me. One of my reservations here is that we're not actually doing quite enough damage. You see, 120 is nice, but if you're against something like a non-GX Buzzwole or a White Kyurem, you're not quite going to do enough damage. If you're against something like a Zapdos, you absolutely will, and Zapdos ain't one-hit KOing you back, and you're accelerating 2 energy, so the next Arcanine only needs 1 energy from your hand. So if you're going face-to-face with Zapdos, yeah, you're a stage 1, but I think you're going to be alright here. Whereas something like a non-GX Buzzwole, they can one-hit KO you with a Diancie Prism Star, and you are going to struggle to one-hit KO them. So that's a little bit of a problem. And then GXs that aren't weak, you hit 120 with a Choice Band 150. You can play maybe Professor Kukui to go up to 170. And then you're getting a one-hit KO on Tapu Lele. Maybe you even then add a Shrine of Punishment, and then you're up to 180 and something like a Blacephalon goes down. But it's not doing great stuff here. We did look at Incineroar the other day, which lets all of your Pokemon do an extra 30 damage to the active. So that can maybe get you up, with all three of these together, and that is a lot to ask for. But with all three of these together, you're up to 210, and you can one-hit KO a Zoroark. Like I've said, I don't think this is particularly viable, certainly on an every-turn basis, but it remains a little bit of an option. But you don't necessarily need to be one-hit KOing. You're only giving up one prize, and you're setting up the next one. So when you hit 120 with Arcanine, you attach 2 energy to the next Arcanine. So next turn you attach 1 from your hand, hit 120, and attach 2 energy to the next Arcanine. And if you've got buff padding on here, you've got 190 HP, so the chances are you're actually not going to be one-hit KO'd by all that much. And even if you are, you're only giving up one prize. How depressing is that? Your opponent goes to all of this effort to do 190 damage to get a big one-hit KO, only to find out that you then just give up a single prize. And there's nothing to stop you doing something like Ace Roller or Max Potion and just healing up completely. Because if the energy's in your hand, Welder, more on that in a second. If the energy's in your discard, well, you can go ahead and use Arcanine. And it is expensive at 3 energy, but Welder attaches 2 from your hand. Just attach a third. Flareon attaches 3 energy from your hand to your Pokemon in any way you like, so that can help you get going. Put 2 on one, 1 on another. And then, of course, Reshiram's GX attack lets you attach 5 energy from your hand, so that's kind of 2 on one, 2 on another, 1 on a third. You don't ever really want to have 3 on 1 at the end of your turn because your opponent can Guzma and KO. It's generally, unless you're really worried about drawing into it, and Fire decks generally play a lot of energy, it's generally better to leave 2 on there so that it's less vulnerable and you can just attach 1 from the hand and attack. So we're not worried about getting any energy on. It accelerates energy when you attack. It's hitting a really nice weakness, and it'll one-hit KO a fair amount of non-GXs, but it's not always doing enough damage. So then we bring in the second attack. Heat Tackle, 190 damage, you do 50 to yourself. Now, doing a 50 to yourself is a bit of a pain, but it really just undoes buff padding. And even if you don't have a buff padding on, is it really that big a deal? Is it that bad? You're giving up one prize and you're accelerating energy to the next Arcanine. So I'm not all that worried. And 190 gets a straight KO on anything from Buzzwole GX down. And then with a Choice Band, you're getting stuff like Zoroark. And with a Choice Band Shrine of Punishment, you're up to 230. So there's stuff like Gardevoir. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, 230 is not that difficult to hit. Choice Band Shrine of Punishment really isn't a problem. The problem is that you're not getting up to like 240 with Pikachu and Zekrom. And sure, you've got Professor Kukui, and sure, you've got Incineroar, but it's not exactly the easiest thing to pull off here. You're generally staying away from the really high numbers. But then again, why don't you just go ahead and use something like Tapu Koko for a turn or two? Welder gets it going in a single turn, so I'm really not all that worried. As a non-GX Pokemon, this is really, really good. It's expensive, but I've shown you all of the tricks, and frankly, Fire Pokemon at the moment, it is the one typing where we just don't care about the energy cost very much. The energy cost is eminently payable, and one thing we can now do when Unbroken Bonds comes out, and you will see this happening, I guarantee it. It will get its own video, but just to give you a little bit of a taste. The new Miss Magius KOs itself, and then you draw until you got 7 cards in hand. You're then behind on prizes, and if you're behind on prizes, Lieutenant Surge's strategy allows you to play 2 supporters in addition to itself, and then you play 1 Welder and a Kiawe. to accelerate 4 energy from the deck. And then all of a sudden, you've got 6 energy out on the first turn. And then Arcanine will be absolutely smashing. You accelerate energy, you do decent damage, and the fact of the matter is you're a non-GX that is going to be taking a whole bunch of prizes on a whole bunch of things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a really good card. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. I expect to see this do well, and I expect people to be bringing some really ridiculously good non-GX decks and absolutely crushing with this. But I would like to know what you think about it, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.